Welcome back. In this session, we will see resource materials in science teaching. Everything that excites the imagination facilitates learning. Francois Fanon. In the present technological age, the full potential of resource materials needs to be explored by the teachers and learners of science. Printed materials are an essential part of science curricula, play a vital role in teaching and learning. At the same time, overdependence upon the textbook, for instance, limits the advantages of other materials in teaching and learning. Nowadays, there is wide variety of learning materials in science, and these include the traditional textbooks, workbooks, supplementary readers, etc., and the highly sophisticated online learning materials, digital libraries, and other software solutions in science learning. Science syllabus and printed materials in science. Science syllabus. A syllabus in science is a formal, systematic arrangement of course of the study in science to be completed in a fixed time so as to develop training in scientific method and various skills in science. Syllabus will typically give a brief overview of the course objectives, course expectations, list reading assignments, homework deadlines, and exam dates. It is normally available on the first day of the college course, and a student is expected to know what is in the syllabus throughout the course. The purpose of the syllabus is to allow the student to work their schedule for their own maximum efficiency and effectiveness. It helps to avoid conflicts with other courses. Principles of science syllabus construction. A syllabus should be framed in such a way as to be useful in realizing the aims and objectives of teaching science. It should be related to the natural interest and activities of children at various stages of development. Topics must be selected as far as possible from the pupil's environment. The syllabus should not be unduly academic and formal. The syllabus should be broad and comprehensive enough to provide pupils an understanding of science as a whole. The syllabus should be for the preparation of life and not for higher education. The content chosen should be according to the learning capacity of the children. The syllabus should be flexible and should give some freedom to the teacher to make slight alterations. There should be provision to include topics of local importance. It should also take into account the time allotted for the subject in the timetable. Careful attention should be given to correlating the course with the courses in other subjects. Science textbook. Textbook is one of the important aids in science teaching learning process and has occupied a pivotal role in educating the school children. Normally in education, we have a phrase as the textbook, so the teaching and learning. But nowadays textbooks are not up to the standard and follow the syllabi rigidly. The science textbook should aim at aiding the pupil in the development of personality, in developing open-mindedness, critical attitude in order to enable him to discover new knowledge. Functions of good science textbook. A good science textbook should help to form correct understanding of basic concepts and principles of science. It should inculcate scientific attitude in the pupils and develop an understanding of their scientific method. It should supplement and enrich classroom learning. It should acquaint the pupils with a wide variety of application of scientific knowledge. It should provide for the development and practice of skills. It should give information about the past discoveries and some thrilling experiences made by the scientist. It should help the pupils for systematic and speedy revision of lessons. Characteristics of good science textbook. There are several characteristic features that we have to concentrate while selecting textbook. First, the author, his qualifications and experience. The qualification and experience of the author is very important in the case of textbook writing. Only the author who has certain amount of experience of teaching the subject should be allowed to publish a book because he can understand the actual learning situations and difficulties of the students. Moreover, he is conversant with the changing concepts and techniques of teaching. Certain minimum academic qualifications may also be prescribed for the author. Second, mechanical features of the textbook. The paper, the binding, the print and the type of letters should be attractive. The size of the print, spacing and the length of the lines should correspond to the visual capacity of the pupil so as to facilitate easy learning. The quantity and quality of illustrations need consideration. Science textbook should be well illustrated with diagrams, sketches, photographs, etc. Diagrams should be carefully drawn, accurate and attractive. Photographs should be clearly reproduced. Illustrations should amplify the materials printed on the same page. Third, subject matter, its nature and organization. The subject matter should be addressed by taking care of the following criteria. First, the subject matter should be developed as far as possible in psychological sequence. Care must be taken for the mental growth and interest of the pupil. There should be consistency of the subject matter and the textbook should stand for the objectives of science teaching. It should lead to inculcation of scientific attitudes, disciplinary and cultural values and should suggest project or activities for the pupil which may help to give a better understanding of the principles and concepts. Each chapter should begin with a brief introduction and end with a summary. Each chapter should contain assignments at the end conforming to the following. First, application to the live situation. Next, new type of self-assessment test. Next, suggestions and experimental work of projects. Suggestions for further study. Numerical examples where is desirable. Headings and subheadings should be in bold type. The matter should be suitably presented in varied and distinctive form. Each textbook should contain a detailed table of contents and an index. The book should be written in lucid, simple and precise scientific language. A standard terminology of scientific and technical terms should be used. English equivalent should also be given within brackets. It should also contain glossary of technical terms used in the book. It should be free from any type of ambiguity in language, terminology and information. It should suggest some good methods of learning. It should contain helpful and practical suggestions for preparing and improving the science apparatus. It is better if the textbook contains examples from longer environments. Weightage should be given to those methods and materials which draw upon the social community resources and school society interaction. Adequate provision should be made to correlate general science with craft, social environment and physical environment. Each textbook should be accompanied by a laboratory handbook or manual. Criteria for selection of science textbook. Louis F. Vogel developed an evaluation scale called Vogel's scorecard that may be a guide for selecting a science textbook. Vogel's scorecard is a suggestive and becomes gradually subjective. The major criteria are grouped under 10 major headings. First, qualifications of the author. Next, organization. Third, content. Fourth, presentation. Next, accuracy. Next, readability. Next, adaptability. Other one, teaching aids. Next, illustrations. And the final, the appearance. Some reviewers of textbook uses Hunter's scorecard. Just illustrate the Hunter's scorecard. It is given in some evaluation items and points for each evaluation items. First evaluation item, educational rank of the author. Point is 50 points. Second one, mechanical makeup and cost has got 100 points. Psychological soundness has got 300 points. Subject matter has got 250 points. Next is literary style which has got 110 points. And next is learning which has got 140 points, and the last one is teachers help, which has got 50 points. So altogether the Hunter's scorecard consists of 1000 points. Next, Vogel's spot check evaluation scale. You have got the different things. One is textbook, the other is name of the author, name of the publisher, copyright year, price, and you have got a score of these all points. Now the first one, qualifications of the author. The author has taught the subject about which he is writing. The author holds advanced degrees in related fields. The author has received assistance from specialists in preparing his manuscripts. The author's point of view, theory or philosophy is in harmony with that of my school. So each and every item has got some partial score, and we will calculate the total partial score. Next one, organization. Here we will discuss the table of contents, preface, the section headings throughout one unit and the end of one chapter. So the various points are: there is a central theme which correlates the whole textbook. The textbook is organized into units which are based on student interest and probability of use in everyday life. The organization make use of topics already taught in my school. The questions and or problems at the end of the chapter are graded explicitly in difficulty order. So each and every item has got some partial score, and total score of these partial responses are calculated. Third one, content. Here we will see the table of content, the index, and the 5 text chapters. The various points to be noted are: the textbook contains all the topics necessary for the purpose. Material for the part of the textbook is cross-referenced with a similar material in other part of the book. The historical development of science is given place. Topics dealing with the latest advances of science such as atomic energy are included. The social significance of science is stressed. Again, we will calculate the partial score of this item. Next, presentation of the material. Here we will see any 5 introductions to chapters. The various teaching points are: the inductive approach is used wherever possible in introducing a new topic. The problem solving aspect of science method is stressed. The author's style is informal and interesting. Unfamiliar scientific terms are set in italics or boldface. Important principles are set in italics or bold space. Again, the partial score of each and every item is calculated. Next, accuracy. Here we will select any 5 topics in the index and look them up in the text. The points to be noted are: all items are on the pages indicated in the index. The items we looked up are scientifically correct. Teleological expressions are avoided. Personification is avoided. No ambiguity is apparent. Again, the partial score is calculated. Next is the readability. Here we will see any one text page. The points to be noted are: the average number of words per sentence is below 21. 60% of the sentences are simple or compound as opposed to complex. There are at least 4 personal references per 100 words. There is at least 4 personal references per 100 words. There is at least one application for each abstract principle. There are not more than 42 affixes per 100 words. Again, we will calculate the partial score of this item. Next one is adaptability. Here we will see the table of contents and any 5 text pages. The points to be reviewed are: the textbook is satisfactory for low, average and brilliant students. Students with a rural and city background will find the text useful. The textbook is arranged so that certain sections can be readily omitted. The authors treat controversial subjects impartially. and in general the text fits my particular community need. Here also we will find the partial score. Next is the teaching aids. Here we will see the end of the chapters and appendix. The points to be noted are summaries, questions and problems at the end of chapters are adequate. References for teachers are annotated. Appendix material is pertinent and useful. The teacher's manual is more than an answer book. An annotated up-to-date film list is provided. Here again we will calculate the partial score of each and every item. Next one is illustrations. Here we will see any 10 illustrations. The points to be noted are the illustrations are relatively modern, the photographic reproductions are large and clear, the line cuts are well drawn and adequately labeled, the figures are tied into the textual material by direct reference, the legends under the illustrations are useful learning devices. Again we will find out the partial score of each and every item. Next is the appearance. Here we will see the cover and the paper. The points to be referred are the appearance of the cover is attractive, the size and shape of the textbook would not be a handicap to students, the placement of the illustrations is pleasing, the design of most pages is open rather than crowded, the size of the type makes for easy reading. Here also we will calculate the partial score of each and every item. Now please refer to the note for tabulating the score. Each item has a value of 2 points. The value of each item under each head is totaled against the part of the score. The partial scores of each head are then counted and the overall value is written against the space provided against the score. Supplementary science books. The reading of other materials in science is very easy and important for teachers of science to get a clear understanding of what they hear and perceive in classrooms, and the reading of best available books and journals is vital for learners also. Reading of supplementary materials introduces students to new areas and enhances creative thoughts. Need for reading supplementary science books. The reading of best available science books is vital for the total development of the students. The purpose is not merely to make scientists of them all. However, our society needs an understanding of science and its impact upon culture and traditions. There is a close relationship between student activity in science such as science clubs, field trips, etc. and reading of science books. Hence, reading of worthwhile science books and extracurricular science activities in the school and home should be encouraged. Books will help the students to develop their maximum potentiality, pursue for scholarship, deepen their interest, make social adjustments, understand science in a broader perspective, and possibly to consider scientific careers should be included. Reading supplementary materials is a good method for introducing students to new materials and of meeting the varied needs and interests of all students in a group. Good supplementary reading in science will serve to stimulate additional reading about same or related topic. This may very well serve as a basis for creativity. Criteria for selecting supplementary science books. First, effect on the students. Now see the points. It encourages thinking and discussion. It develops interest in applied aspect of science. It stimulates further reading. It helps to articulate and elucidate scientific concepts and principles. It suggests further problems. It gives insight into social implications and contributions of science. Second, qualities of the books. Here the various points are: it is accurate and authoritative, it is fair and sincere in its presentation of controversial subject matter, its enrichment material goes beyond that of the secondary textbook, It has good literary standard, clear style, grammatically correct, easy to read. Its general theme and tone are wholesome. It is a book of lasting value, one worth owning and going back to. Periodicals for students and science teachers. In English, you have Junior Science Digest, Junior Scientist, School Science by NCERT, Science Reporter, Science Today, The Science Teacher, Resonance. In Malayalam, you have Shastra Keralam, Shastra Gadi, Vijnana Kairali, Eureka, Shastra Kaudugam, Manashastram. Pupils Workbook. Workbook vary greatly in content and organization. Some of the workbooks are replication of the textbook where some illustrations are given for content and space for making and writing, etc. Whereas some other types of workbook provide many different types of activities, tables for reporting data, illustrations and space for marking or labeling. Some others are having self-testing items, assignments and clues for carrying out the projects. Advantages: very useful for saving time and energy for teachers, provide self-direction in pupils' work so as to promote effective study. Works can be carried out after school hours so as to help premature learners. Workbooks provide a direction for the learning activities for an inexperienced teacher. Workbook fosters scientific thinking. Some of the disadvantages are: workbooks are relatively inflexible, the content is highly organized and cannot be altered easily, there is little provision for the inclusion of new materials, workbooks are directed towards uniform outcomes. If they dominate the program, people have little opportunity to develop special interest and talents. Workbook deny pupils any participation in the planning process, any incentive to do independent work, any practice in formulating their own problems and any encouragement to do their own thinking. Teacher's Handbook or Guidebook. Teacher's Handbook is an excellent reference material for teachers for effective science teaching. Teacher's Handbook is a valuable teaching device suitable for a wide range of interest and abilities. It contains list of teaching aids, summarization of learning, an exercise in organization, a medium for self-expression, an indication of progress and assignments of various kinds. It gives sufficient additional points that teachers can use in classrooms which are more socially relevant to the immediate surroundings of the students and more acceptable to their cognitive sense. Advantages: it is a device for review work. It suggests the teacher to adopt appropriate strategies to teach every topic. Finding the learning experiences for each topic is easy. Tangible evidence for the progress of the students. Work of the teacher is fostered, not easily available to all teachers. Disadvantages: teacher becomes lazy and does not try to learn more in the topic. Teacher always takes helps from this material other than applying reasoning. Reference books. Reference books are very important in science. Science is a subject which is dynamic and goes on changing with the laws of nature. What we see and perceive today as right becomes false on tomorrow. In such a case, reference books play an important role in acquiring conceptualization in science for teachers. In a school science library, there should be large number of reference material in science pertaining to all branches of study. Good reference books act as the immediate source of solution of teachers' problems, and in higher classrooms, reference books can act as substitute for teachers. Reference books are effective aids to learning and students must be given training to use reference books. Advantages: it supplements classroom instruction. It instills the pupils' self-study habits and the spirit of self-work. It helps pupils to work out assignments. It stimulates scientific thinking and inculcates the elements of scientific attitude. Disadvantages: some of the reference books are very difficult to understand for students. The language used in reference books can be accessible only to advanced learners. There can only supplement knowledge and not act as a substitute for learning in all cases. Cost of the reference books are very high. Audio visual aids and improvisation in science teaching. Research and experience have shown that audiovisual techniques can significantly increase and reinforce learning. Not only do they make presentation more interesting but engaging more than one's senses, they also facilitate listening and memorizing while teaching abstract concepts or unfamiliar subjects. Visualization can be an essential tool for understanding. Audiovisual aids or devices are added devices that help the teacher to clarify, establish, correlate and coordinate accurate concepts, interpretations, appreciations and enable him to make learning more concrete, effective, interesting, inspirational, meaningful and vivid. Audiovisual aids will not automatically increase teaching effectiveness. However, they must be carefully designed to support a lesson and to suit a particular audience and situation. Importance of audiovisual aids. Good teaching aims at effective communication and appropriate learning outcomes. Importance of audiovisual aids. Heighten motivation for learning. Provide freshness and variety. Appeal to students of various abilities. Encourage active participation. Give needed reinforcement. Widen the range of experience. Assure order and continuity of thought. Improve effectiveness of other materials. Promotes scientific temper. Improvisation of apparatus. The plea of most of the science teachers against effective demonstration and experimentation is the lack of adequate apparatus. If we want to train school students in scientific method, we need large amount of money in setting up of laboratories. The only solution to this economic problem is the improvisation of apparatus. Improvisation means the preparation of ordinary laboratory apparatus from simple or locally available materials. Characteristics of improvised apparatus. The following are the some of the characteristics of improvised apparatus. First, the raw materials are easily available either free or at low cost in the locality. The materials do not involve specialized skills and can be made by pupils, teachers or members of the community. The materials can be easily and effectively used by the teachers and pupils in clarifying the set of objectives. The process involved in the production of the materials is simple and inexpensive. The material is simple, accurate and appropriate to the age level of the users. The material stimulates thinking, reacting, discussing, experimenting or further study. The material is free from distractions, conflicts or bias. The production of the material is not time consuming. Process of developing improvised apparatus. The different steps involved in the process of developing improvised apparatus are: first, definition of objectives, preparation of a design, development of materials, pilot testing of the materials, finalization of the materials, production and distribution. Now let us summarize the session. Resource materials are really the heart of science teaching. Without having a review of proper reference material in science, a teacher should not go to the classrooms. If a teacher cannot answer spontaneously the questions of the pupil he or she teaches is not shameful, but a teacher giving wrong answers purposefully to save his or her respect is always shameful. So, teachers should be well acquainted with the changes in knowledge from time to time. In this module, we have discussed the different resource materials in science teaching from the contemporary textbooks to modern audiovisual resources. The module also throws lights on the evaluation criteria for these learning materials, especially the textbook. Now, please try to answer the following questions. What are the major points on which Vogel's criteria of evaluation of textbook is based? What are the principles of selection and principles of use of audiovisual aids? Next, what are the difficulties faced in the use of audiovisual aids? Next, what are the characteristics of good science textbooks? Now, we just see the books for our reference. First, Anastasi in 1976, a psychological testing 4th edition published by Macmillan Company, New York. Bloom, B.S., Hastings, J.T. and Meadows, G.F. in 1971 published a handbook on formative and summative evaluation of student learning, published by McGraw-Hill Book Company, New York. Cronbach, L.J. in 1960 published a book, Essentials of Psychological Testing, 2nd edition, published by Harper and Brothers in New York. Fitzpatrick in 1961 published Policies for Science Education by Bureau of Publications, Teachers College, Columbia University, New York. So, hope you have enjoyed this session. Before we meet with a new session, bye.